welcome to this edition of Papa Scott Talk Baseball. Well, now we know that World Series champions, Texas Rangers, well deserved. You know, Diamondbacks showed up for one game, they came back a little bit in another, but they were just overmatched.
They were overmatched, and I hate to bring this up, but I said, well, I thought it might go 7 games because the way they were playing. But when I also said when Arizona lost that first game the way they did, and Texas won a game at home, then if Arizona had won that game and they'd have gone back to Texas, who knows who'd have won it? Because the away team, Texas won 11 away games this year, set a record for the playoffs, 11 away games.
That's starting to be more and more the trend here the last few years.
Oh yeah. The away team is winning more games. But
and have you heard any thoughts on that, or do you have a thought? Is it just having more relaxation? You're supposed to be sleeping in a hotel, and that's supposed to wreck you, and all this stuff. Well, but they don't exactly stay in the Motel 8. You know what I'm saying?
They're not staying in the Holiday Inn at the airport.
Right.
They're staying downtown in a luxury hotel. They bring along their own chefs. They bring along their own trainers. They bring everything along with them. Everything is, all of their needs are taken care of. They usually fly on the team plane. They don't have to fly the skies of United. I mean, they have all the luxuries they have except sleeping at home. Now, if there's a problem in your family and you're at home,
I was going to bring that up.
That could be a distraction.
That's what somebody said a few years ago, like in that national series. You know, you don't have the home distractions. You don't have to go to a grocery store and pick up formula and, you know, getting phone calls from the school and dealing with day-to-day stuff when you're away.
Having everybody and their brother want you to get them tickets.
Exactly. All of those distractions are gone when you go on the road. And we brought that kind of goes with anybody that works. You know, you go to work sometimes to get away from your family, you know.
Well, see, there's another thing too. And the difference between baseball and let's say football, because I've watched a lot of college football yesterday. Yeah. And these stadiums, these home crowds get so noisy. Some of the visiting teams have problems with the signals, and they have a couple of motion penalties and things like that. Where in baseball, the worst thing that happens is the pitcher says, "I can't hear," points at his hat. That's it. Everything else is a hand signal.
Right.
So I don't care how loud the crowd gets. You know, a lot of athletes feed off of that.
Yeah, they like that energy of being booed and all that stuff. You know, they kind of like being the bad guy and like a wrestler. You know. They kind of feed off that, like you said. And,
you make more money that way.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, I didn't like some of the stuff, but, you know, Texas never won it. Good for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's great for that town. It's a good pro town.
Most of the guys on that team are pretty good guys, too. I mean,
those
teams are loaded with nice guys.
Right. I mean, the only thing I didn't like was Simeon when he finally hit a home run. You know, he ain't done nothing all the playoffs. Acted between first and second, like, you know, what he was doing. I was like, dude, you're up 3-0 at this point late in the game. You hit a home run. Where have you been at? Where were you hiding this whole playoffs?
Yeah, they forget. See, these guys, they forget. I mean, I watched a football game yesterday, and this kid. I don't even care. It doesn't matter who he's playing for. He scored a touchdown. And I mean, he was doing his thing in the end zone, doing his dance and all that stuff and pointing at himself and all this stuff, jumping around. Flag, holding penalty. I'm just sitting there going, son, you're jumping around the end zone. You haven't scored. The play's nullified. There was a 10-yard holding penalty. You're in there acting like an idiot, and you haven't scored.
Right.
So, I mean, come on. I
like excitement. I like, you know, like,
yeah, but you don't have to act like that.
No, you know, and I mean, you know, I like the energy it brings, but that was a little over the top. But I know you get caught up in the moment. I'm not blaming him. I'm not mad at him because he's a good player. You never hear anything about him.
No.
It was just something that I saw, and I was like, hey, wait a minute, wait. But Corey Seager winning the MVP of the World Series.
Second time.
Could have gone to, I think, to Jordan Montgomery as well, starting pitcher.
Well, it might have gone to Garcia if he hadn't got hurt.
Right. Garcia would have – that man was on another planet during this playoff.
Well, he's like Jordan for the Astros. Those two boys are big, and they're grown men.
Well, Jordan seems to put the ball in play a lot more for a big guy.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of hits more than crushing the ball. And here's a little side note. So I like to read about the history of baseball. I'm reading a book on how baseball started in America. Very interesting. I'll probably do a video on it when I get done. But launch angles is not a new thing, okay? Babe Ruth talked about it. Ted Williams talked about it. And when I'm reading this book, a guy in 1853 was talking about do not hit the ball on the ground. Hit it up in the air. You have a better chance of getting a hit. I was like, oh, my God, are you serious? But just not everybody could hit it as far as those guys. So if you couldn't hit it over the fence or between guys for doubles, you're hit weak fly balls. That's why the game was different. Now the guys are so much stronger. I just wanted to bring that up today. I thought
the other thing too about Arizona, Arizona in a way reverted to what they've been, and that they remind me a lot of the Seattle Mariners and the Marlins, the Miami Marlins. They've got decent pitching. They've got really good defenses, but they got a pop gun offense. They just don't. They had They had 500-600 men on base the first 3 innings of that last game, and couldn't get a hit to score anybody. I mean, when I was watching the game, I've seen so much sports in my life.
Right.
And so I'm sitting there going, and you can just see the pattern. You get people on base and you don't score, you lose. You wind up losing. It's like the team that gets in the red zone and kicks 3 field goals. They wind up losing.
Yeah, it seems like to me too, Dad, when that happens, panic sets in, right?
And they stress.
And they start swinging at bad pitches and things, and start doing things out of the norm.
Like the Phillies did.
That hit. Yeah, like the Phillies did it. And it's the team that can overcome that. I mean, Texas on paper was the better team. We've talked about it.
Much better.
It just seemed like the Diamondbacks, and they even fought back in those games. They never quit. They were a team that you're going to have to get 27 outs on, right? They weren't going to give up in the 5th inning because they were down 12-0, right? Or whatever the ridiculous score was. They played till the last out. And a team like that with a nucleus like that, and they still got some young talent in the minors, that's a team you're going to have to look at for next year.
Hey,
guess what? Dodgers, Padres, they're not going away.
Who knows? DeGrom might come back and be healthy for a change.
Yeah, in Texas, right? Well, who knows? Well,
I doubt it. But I mean, for them to do what they did, having all the injuries they had, especially on their pitching.
Oh, in Texas, yeah.
In Texas, I mean, my hat is off. Bruce Bochy is one of the best managers I've seen in my lifetime. I mean,
well, that's I brought up in one of my other videos. When they can be a manager can get to the Hall of Fame, do they have to wait the 5 years or whatever? I've heard 3, and then they're in a special committee and all this other. I just, because Bochy's age, I don't want them to wait forever and he's not with us and we put him in the Hall of Fame. I hate that. It drives me crazy. I'm sure the family likes it, but it does nothing for the man.
Yeah. Well, I was happy for him.
I love Bruce Bochy, and I was happy for Texas. I did not have as much as I was pulling for the Diamondbacks, Dad. It's because I like Corbin Carroll, I like Pavin Smith,
right.
I like some of the guys on, but how do you not like Evan Carter, Josh Jung, Seager? I mean, Nathaniel Lowe, Nate Lowe, Josh Him has been around for a little bit. He is not a rookie, the catcher for Texas. And for him to come out this year and be a top-notch catcher in the league, congratulations, man. Way to work hard.
Montgomery's been around a while.
Montgomery, he's a free agent. People don't – I didn't know that till this week. I was looking at free agent lists. He's going to be sought after. And the only thing I don't like about putting a lot of money in him is because pitchers that have a long season, now they've added extra games, and he had to pitch in extra games. Now he pitched, he didn't pitch in 30, 35. He's pitched in over 40 games this year.
And he's not a kid.
Right. And his season's longer. His rest time is going to be less before he starts getting ready for the next season. I just want to remember that next year because they have things out there. I think that's what happened to Scherzer when he went to the Dodgers last year or 2 years ago. All of the extra games caught up with him.
Plus, he had injuries.
Yeah, but I think that adds to it.
Well, son, you and I both knew that when he and Verlander signed with the Mets, that probably wasn't going to work.
Well, when they got Scherzer, everybody was excited. I wasn't. And then when they got Verlander, I was like, well, he came back in that last month. I hope that's the Verlander that comes. But my thought was pitch one guy in the first half of the season, let the other guy pitch, but rest him every so often. And then on the back half, rest them so that the back half, but they weren't competing anyway.
They could do load management like the basketball.
Yeah, because have 6 pitchers, I don't know. Because I was like, they're not going to carry a full load. I think DeGrom is in that rate. But, we'll see. And now it just makes me can't wait for next year and get it going. Like we were talking before we started, things are already started. I read yesterday that Caja, that was with the Mets, then traded to the Brewers, is now traded to Detroit for guess what? A pitcher. An outfielder for a pitcher. So Detroit gives up a young prospect pitcher to get an outfielder. To me, Caja is probably a 4th outfielder. I don't think he's an everyday outfielder. But that's what you're going to see, I believe, in this offseason. We saw at the trade deadline, pitchers moving because there's such a commodity in the league. You've got to have a 1 and 2 and try to have a 3 plus a strong, deep bullpen.
Well, Max Muncy signed a 2-year extension
with the Dodgers.
The Dodgers for $24 million for 2 years. He hit .212. He had 36 home runs and 125 RBIs. So the batting average doesn't mean anything anymore.
No, it's on base
runs and RBIs is what counts.
And we're going to talk about that on another show in this offseason. We're going to hit some topics like that. We're not going away because it's the offseason. We have topics, believe me, galore and moves and stuff. But we talked about the World Series, and we'll probably next week talk about kind of future of some teams, what we're thinking, who's going to make moves, what's going on. But this week, I kind of want to talk a little bit going into the awards. There are some ridiculous awards. But, I mean, let's start with so they already announced the Roberto Clemente Award, which is one of the most probably awards that somebody wants.
It's a prestigious award.
Right. And Aaron Judge did it for his work with All Rise Foundation in New York. supporting kids in California and New York through the All Rise Foundation.
They couldn't have given it to a nicer guy.
Right. So, and that became the fourth Yankee to win an award, joining Ron Guidry, which was a great person, Don Baylor, which was a super good guy, and Derek Jeter, which is the captain. I mean, what can you say about Derek Jeter? So he'll get to wear I believe they get to wear the Clemente patch on their jersey when I get that. Like football, they get to wear, forget what the thing, but hey, Aaron, if you're watching this channel, say hi first off and like and subscribe. But congratulations. Next is going to be the Rawlings Gold Glove Award. So I have the finalists here, which they will be named tomorrow, the winners. But in American League, we got Nathaniel Lowe, Ryan Mountcastle, Anthony Rizzo. Any thoughts on those three?
I think Lowell will win it.
I think
Lowell will win it. He was the only one of the three that didn't have an extensive injury. Mountcastle was out a while, and certainly Rizzo. And then Rizzo wound up DHing. But I just think Nathaniel Lowe went at first base.
Well, Rizzo's a 4-time Gold Glove winner, and usually that's how they vote. And he's a New Yorker, so don't be surprised if Rizzo. Don't be surprised if Rizzo wins. I agree with you. Right.
I mean, any one of the three of them could win it.
Right, and it would be rightfully so. Second base, Mauricio Dubon with Houston. Andres Jimenez with Cleveland, which was a Met. I was so upset when we traded him. Marcus Semien with Texas.
I tell you what, I saw about 4 or 5 Cleveland games this year. That kid at second base is a baller. I mean, yes, that kid.
Him and Rosario at shortstop might be the best infield.
Oh, yeah.
They compete with Seager and Semien on. I think they're very, very good. There's a lot of good tandems.
That kid is awesome.
Them up there. Yeah.
I hope he might not win it because he's not a big name, but that kid can play. He made some plays I couldn't believe it.
Well, he is the reigning AL Gold Glove winner.
Oh, well, there you go.
So third base is Alex Bregman, Matt Chapman, and Jose Ramirez.
That's a coin. Any one of the three of them. I mean, they're all good third basemen.
Yeah. I always feel like too that when it comes to the power positions like first and third, they also lean on they look at the overall picture, and they're supposed to be a defensive award. But I would like to see Jose Ramirez. I see Chapman as the perennial Gold Glove contender, so 3-time winner. And a 2-time Platinum Glove winner as the best defenseman in the league. So
well, he's got a leg up then.
Yeah. Shortstop is Carlos Correa, Corey Seager, Anthony Volpe, the rookie from the Yankees who couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a defensive award, but I think Seager is.
Yeah, even though Carlos Correa,
he's a heck of a player.
Yeah, I think it says he led the league in runs saved, which I hate those. It's so subjective. And it's hard for a rookie to get that. So I would go with Corey Seager as well. I think Corey Seager, since he's not going to probably win the MVP, they're going to give him as many other awards as possible.
Yeah.
Left field, Austin Hayes, Baltimore.
Oh,
Stephen Kwan.
I saw the Oriole games. Cleveland. He made some catches out there that saved ball games.
Yeah, and Dalton Varsho, who Toronto gave up a pitcher to get to the Twins, who actually made a difference. So Austin Hayes, Steve. I love Stephen Kwan. I think that dude is fantastic. He played at Oregon State. I think he played with Corbin Carroll in the same outfield. Awesome player. But that's 3 I don't think any of them have won or been in here before.
That's a pick 'em.
Yeah, that is. I would say Stephen Kwan. Kevin Kiermaier for Toronto center. This is center field. Lewis Robert, Chicago White Sox, and Julio Rodriguez in Seattle. To me, the pure outfielder is Kimura.
Yeah, Rodriguez is the better all-around player. But if you want a steady outfielder or center fielder that makes all the plays and is not flashy, it's Kiermaier.
Yeah, but he'll go get them now.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying he's one of those guys. He's like Bernie Williams. I've never been a Yankee fan, but I love Bernie Williams. Has been one of my all-time favorite players because when he played center field, he made the hard catches look easy.
Yeah, Bernie Williams is so smooth, and he can play guitar.
Yeah, he can sing.
Right fielder Adalis Garcia.
Oh yeah.
Cal Tucker and Alex Verdugo in Boston. Verdugo didn't hit very well.
Now here's a question because I don't know this. When you're talking about the Gold Glove for an outfielder, does the throwing that come into it, or is it just fielding?
It's
because if it's throwing, Garcia will win.
Right. So throwing is going to be part of it because it's how many runs you stop.
Garcia's got a cannon.
I think Garcia is going to win. Cal Tucker second. Alex Verdugo third. I could be very wrong. Catcher Jonah Heim, Alejandro Kirk for Toronto, and Adley Rutschman at Baltimore.
Wow. Rutschman's just a kid.
I'm going to say Jonah Heim.
I think Heim's going to win too. I think he's going to win too.
Kirk is an Iron Man. Alejandro Kirk is an Iron Man. He played pretty much the whole last month of the season in Toronto every game and playoffs. And Adley Rutschman was the last catcher to have a pass ball this year. Just to let y'all know a few things, but
and he caught every one of their the last week of the season and their playoff games.
Well, the only thing is Jonah Heim did miss some games this year. He was hurt, but I think he's going to win it. So we're going to go pitchers: Jose Barrios, Sonny Gray, Pablo Lopez. Jose Barrios is usually the guy when it comes to this. He's a very great fielding pitcher, ranked up there like Greg Maddux and stuff like that. Utility is Marcio Dubon again, Jack McKinstry, Taylor Walls for Tampa. I think it's going to be Dubon. Dubon didn't go get second base, but I think he'll get this one for Houston. Even though Taylor Walls for Tampa was he filled in for Wander after Wander was gone. National League, first base, Freddie Freeman, Carlos Santana, and Christian Walker. The old man Carlos Santana still doing it. To me, Christian Walker. When he was on the main stage in the playoffs, he did not let anybody eat. He could field first base.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be between him and Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie's smooth over there as well.
See, there again, Freddie Freeman doesn't make the flashy play, but he's steady and he almost never makes an error.
Right. Second base. Well, the big thing with first is how many errors you save on bad throws.
Those throws in the dirt.
Second base, Nico Horner. Kim is his last name for San Diego. Hasson and Bryson Stott for Philly. After seeing Bryson Stott through the playoffs, I'm going to go with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
His range at second base is a shortstop's range. You got to hit it hard to get it past him.
Yeah, I agree, son. He was outstanding. In fact, remember Bryce Harper said after one of the games that he was the best second baseman in the game. The best second baseman in baseball.
I can tell you, he was getting to balls where he couldn't throw the guy out because he had to run so far to get to the ball. The guy was already at first, but he was getting to him. And that saves run. If there's a guy on base and it doesn't get to the outfielder, it saves a run if it's a guy on second, right? So I think that's huge. Third base, Brian Hayes, a name I haven't heard since April when they were kicking butt in Pittsburgh. Ryan, somebody said that they won the month of April, and on April 30th, they had a parade in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Brian Hayes.
Parade was from first to second base.
Yeah. Brian Hayes, Ryan McMahon, Austin Riley. To me, Austin Riley.
Yeah, Austin Riley's.
I can start a team around Austin Riley. Big, strong, can field the position, makes dives and throws like Brooks Robinson. As big.
Well, that play he made when that throw came in from the outfield, and he doubled Harper off first base.
Mm-hmm. Shortstop, and he's quick. He's quick. He's got quick hands. Shortstop, Francisco Lindor, Dansby Swanson, and Ezekiel Tovar for Colorado. I don't think anybody in Colorado should win a Gold Glove just because that's the worst defensive team I've ever seen. I'm going to say Francisco Lindor, even though he's made some errors that cost games this year. I hate to say one play costs a game, but when you stand in front of the team before the next game and go, "I'm sorry, I cost us a game,"
you owned it.
You're owning it, which is awesome. He did that, and he had one of his better
seasons. From what I understand, I didn't see. I can count the Colorado games. I saw on one finger because I saw a game when they were playing Washington. I watched the whole game, playing the Nationals. And I'm gonna tell you what. That kid's a player. That shortstop.
Yeah, Tovar. I'm not going to take anything from him.
That kid is a player. He's another one.
I just think when Bowden comes
the shortstop for Washington's not a bad player. That kid.
Oh yeah. Well, sure. I've been saying all season, up the middle, Washington's set. They're set for a long time. Dansby Swanson is no slouch either.
Oh yeah. He was great in Atlanta, and he did very well with the Cubs.
Yeah, and I mean, when he was with Vanderbilt in those years that they were playing for the National World Series every year for college, I mean, he was probably the best defensive player in baseball. Left field, Ian Happ, David Peralta, Eddie Rosario. I don't really have any idea between those three. Yeah. Center field, Brenton Doyle, again, Colorado. He came up later in the season. Michael Harris II, and Alek Thomas. I'm going to go with Alek Thomas for one reason. He played all year, or most of the season with them. Michael Harris had missed substantial amounts of this season. And he might be the best center fielder in the game right now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That Michael Harris might be the best center fielder in baseball. Might.
But that Alek Thomas can go get it too. He can run him down. His arm is where that Diamondbacks outfield arms, they need relays to get to the relay. Right field. Why go any further than the first name, Mookie Betts? Fernando Tatis Jr., and then Lane Thomas, another very good outfielder for the Washington Nationals.
Mookie.
Yeah, you don't even need to go any further.
They can give Mookie Betts the Gold Glove for right field and second base.
Yeah.
That's how good he is.
And again, he might not. That's going to be interesting who wins the MVP. Patrick
I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close. The MVP, I don't think is close. Acuna is going to win that sucker hands down.
Oh, yeah. 30, 40 or whatever. Patrick Bailey, Gabriel Moreno, JT Realmuto. I'm going to go with JT Realmuto. He had another great season behind him.
Look, Realmuto's been the best all-around catcher in baseball
even though
for 5 years.
Even though Patrick Bailey had a very quiet season in San Francisco, but they had a 3-headed catching core for the first couple of months there.
Yep.
And Gabriel Moreno for Arizona, he is the future behind the plate. That young man is awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just think he's young. And Gold Glove, you kind of got to make a name for yourself before you get it. And both of those guys are young. Pitcher, the Jesus Lizard himself, Jesus Luzardo. Tawan Walker, which can field his position very well. And Zach Wheeler.
I think Zach Wheeler.
Zach Wheeler, me too. Utility is Mookie Betts, Tommy Edman, and Hae-Sung Kim. So you said this is where he wins both of them. So he's going to win 2 Gold Gloves. Mookie Betts as a utility player.
Why not? He plays everywhere.
Right. So that's it for the Gold Gloves. So then that's going to be announced actually
Tomorrow?
tonight, 7:30.
Tonight.
7:30 on ESPN. So that'll be interesting. When you see this, we record on Sunday and release it on Monday. So we will talk further about it next week. Monday, November 6th, the Baseball Writers Association of America will reveal the finalists of the Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year, Cy Young, and MVP.
Now, remember, everybody.
So this is just the finalists.
All these awards are not for the playoffs. They're just for the regular season. So the playoffs do not count.
But they do factor in.
Yeah, but the vote is supposed to be taken before the playoffs start.
I don't know. I hope they do. It doesn't say on here.
That's what they're supposed. They're supposed to take.
Oh, okay. That does say the top 3 vote getters for each AL and National League award become finalists. But I think the final vote is after the playoffs. They do a vote to get the final 3, and then they do that. So they haven't announced it yet. Tuesday, Executive of the Year is announced during the GM meetings, which is usually, one of the top notch, which will probably be, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Texas Rangers or Diamondbacks, or even Philadelphia. I know Philadelphia's front office, everybody's respecting them really a lot right now. But
the Orioles front office did a heck of a job.
Orioles, so anybody can be,
they did a heck of a job. Plus, they built one of the top 2 farm systems in the.
Well, Dad, let's look. The Nationals had a losing season, but look what they did. You see a beginning of a rebuild there. It's not like some other teams that are bad and you can't tell what they're doing. At least at the Nationals, when I watch them, I can tell what's going on. So I got to say that front office knows. At least they have a plan.
Yeah, they have a plan.
So we have the Silver Slugger Awards, which is basically the best hitters in each position. So these are the softball players. And we're going to run through these pretty quick, Dad. First base, American League, Tristan Casas, Yadi Diaz, Nathaniel Lowe, Spencer Torkelson. I'm going to go Nathaniel Lowe or Yadi Diaz. Wouldn't go bad with either one of them. Jump in with anything you want to say. Diaz. Brandon Drury, Brandon Drury for LA Angels, Marcus Semien, Gleyber Torres at second base, Marcus Semien. Third base, even though he didn't have a year, everybody thought he was going to have. But anyway, Alex Bregman at third base, Rafael Devers, Isaac Paredes, which that's interesting, and Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez had a great year. Shortstop, J.P. Crawford for Seattle, Corey Seager, and Bobby Witt Jr.
Corey Seager.
I'm going to go with Bobby Witt Jr. I'm going to go with the guy that's doing it. I'm hoping Corey Seager. I know he's going to be second in MVP voting, so he probably will get it. Outfield, Randy Arozarena, who had a good year, Adolis Garcia, Aaron Judge, Lewis Robert, who finally did what what everybody thought he was going to do, Julio Rodriguez, Anthony Santander with Baltimore, who had you could tell when he was out and when he was back what he did for that team. and Kyle Tucker.
Oh, wow. Well, Judge was out so long,
Yeah, it's
but he
hard.
still, to be honest, if he'd have been in there, the home runs he'd hit about 70 this year if he'd been healthy the whole year.
Yeah.
I think it'll be between him and Garcia.
But he's starting to have leg and feet problems, and that
Yes.
scares me. I'm going to go with Randy or Rosarina. Either him or Dallas Garcia.
Yeah,
But either of
Garcia.
those, I
Garcia hit for most of the year for power. So
I would not be upset with any of those. Catcher, the man that does, he's just in the top by catchers too that we don't hear about because he plays for the Royals. Salvador Perez, one of the great catchers. Cal Raleigh for Seattle, who had a really good season. And Adley Rushman. I want to say, Adley, welcome to your first Silver Slugger Award.
Yeah, I'm going to say Rushman.
A designated hitter. Wow, look at these two names. Yordan Alvarez, Shohei Ohtani.
Okay.
It's going to be Shohei.
It's going to be Ohtani.
But, man, how do you not say Yordan? Yeah. Utility, Brandon Drury, Gunnar Henderson, Isaac Paredes, and Whit Merrifield.
Wow. I'm going to say Gunnar.
I'm going to say Whit Merrifield, the South Carolina World Series champion.
Do you know that the Blue Jays didn't sign him? Do you know the Blue Jays let him walk?
Yeah, and he's going to be a great utility guy.
He's a free agent. And, Justin Turner is going to be a free agent again from Boston.
So here's a nationally: Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson. Got to go with Matt Olson.
Yeah, he had all those home runs.
Second base: Ozzy Albies, Luis Arraez, Ketel Marte. Luis Arraez flirted with 400 for a portion of the season. Still had a high 300 average.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's hard to. Ketel Marte, finally the ball player that everybody thought he was going to be, or at least he's shining. You know, he's been on some bad teams. So, Nolan, third base, Nolan Arenado. It's hard to win a Slugger Award on a bad team. Manny Machado with San Diego, Max Muncy with LA, and Austin Riley. I'm going to go Austin Riley because Max Muncy, you said it at the opening with his batting average. Might stick out. Some older people that vote are really stuck on the batting average instead of on base percentage. I look at two things: on base percentage and how many times you score. You got to be on base.
I'm going to go with Riley. Machado will probably finish second.
It's just hard. Well, see, everybody looks at them as how bad they were. But I'm telling you, they ran out of games. If they had another 10 games, they would be in the playoffs, and we might be talking about a different team winning the World Series. So, shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, Francisco Lindor, Dansby Swanson, Trey Turner. Well, it's hard to say Trey Turner because the first half of the season was horrible at the plate. Horrible. Xander was playing on a bad team for most of the year. So it comes down to Dansby Swanson for me and Francisco. I'm going to say Francisco Lindor just because of the name.
Wow.
He's overhyped in this game. I'd be the first to admit, as a Mets fan. They compared his numbers to the guy.
Xander Bogaerts.
Oh, you can't go wrong with the top. I don't know why Trey Turner's in here. His first half of the season was horrible.
The second half of the season, he raked.
Right. But you play a full season. This is a full season award.
Right. Yeah.
Outfield, Ronald Acuna Jr., Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger came back to baseball. Welcome back to the game. Corbin Carroll, Kyle Schwarber, Juan Soto, and Seiya Suzuki for the Cubs, which I haven't heard that name all year. Kyle Schwarber batted like 195 this year, but had almost a 390 on base percentage, and had 40 home runs, 102 scored 102 times. but I don't think that's good enough for Ronald Acuna for me. But
Yeah, I mean, he just, I mean, he just didn't hit home runs. He did a lot of different things.
yeah, so he's the first with 40 homers and 70 steals. Some of the guys, all the bigger bases and the bigger bases to me didn't add to the steals. I think it was the throwovers and the pitch clock helped with the steals. Catcher William Contreras with Milwaukee, one of the Contreras brothers. Sean Murphy with Atlanta. JT Realmuto with Philly. And my man, the most overlooked player in baseball, Will Smith with the LA Dodgers.
Yeah. Yeah, Will Smith is really special, but I got to go with Realmuto.
I really like Realmuto. He's a catcher that hit for the cycle this year, which I thought was awesome. So he had to get a triple that game. That means he had to run all the way around the bases as a catcher. So awesome. Sean Murphy could be right there with him on that. But yeah, I'll have to go with JT Realmuto. DH is Bryce Harper, JD Martinez, Marcell Ozuna, and Jorge Soler. Jorge Soler.
Right. Jorge Soler.
Yeah.
No, I got to go with Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper. Yep. Without a doubt. Utility, Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts, Kim, and Spencer Steer for Cincinnati. Mookie Betts for me in that group.
Yeah, probably Mookie.
So that's it for the sluggers. Let's see. I want to so next Monday, Rookie of the Year award will be announced. Tuesday, Manager of the Year. Wednesday, Cy Young. Where was Most Valuable Player on Thursday? So we got another week to wait for all this. Friday, November 17th. I've never heard of this award. This was the one I was like, oh my God, stop. This is like bowl games. Heart and Hustle Awards on the MLB Network. This award is presented by ML Players Alumni Association. It is voted on by the alumni as well as active players. It goes to the active player who demonstrates passion for the game of baseball and best embodies the values, spirit, traditions of the game, which I have no idea what that means. And a winner will be selected from the group. Each of the 30 teams has one nominee. Yeah. The go-getter award.
Well, whoever ran the first base hard when he hit a ground ball.
Yeah.
Whoever ran out of pop-up.
Yeah. Do we really need that award? I don't know.
No.
MLB Comeback Player of the Year awards.
That's something that was set up just because they want to do something for MLB.
Right. And this one is also on the MLB Network. They started this a few years back. You don't necessarily have to be out for an injury. You can come back from having a bad year. So look for like Cody Bellinger or somebody like that to win that. In the National League, I'm trying to think in the American League really quick. Sometimes pitchers that have been out with Tommy John surgery back, you'll see them win it. Rivera Hoffman Reliever of the Year awards. Edwin Diaz won it last year. Edgar Martinez Outstanding Designated Hitter Award. I mean, isn't all these already named in the Slugger, Silver Slugger, all this?
I don't know, but I'm getting bored. I mean, I'll take a nap while I'm watching that. I mean, that's
right. That's why I'm sitting here going, all MLB
award?
Yeah, Hank Aaron Awards, which I do have. That's 9 finalists from each league we're announcing. And that in the Platinum, I didn't see it. I might have skipped it. They had the Platinum Defensive Award, which is the best defensive player in each league. It's just one guy. But the Hank Aaron Award,
you're going to pick the best defensive player in each league. How do you differentiate between the positions?
So what they do, Dad, is they look at some of the statistics we don't like WAR,
Yeah.
player,
Yeah.
how many runs you stop, differential, all this stuff.
It's like the most valuable player in the National Football League is almost always a quarterback now.
Right.
Because that's the most valuable player on each team. So
yeah. Well, it's also right now in the NFL. I hate to get off topic. That's the position that everybody. There's only a few that's really good, and the rest are kind of
yeah.
Quarterback play this year has not been great. But yeah, so some of these, I think, you get an award, but the thing is most of the awards go to the same guys. So it's like, I thought they just did one night where they had a night of awards. Like I thought they did that in the past. Like
the ESPYs.
Yeah, they had the MLB awards, and they all go, and it's on ESPN and MLB, and everybody gets their award. We go home and start the next season. Nice catch. Yeah, what do you think about all these awards, Dad?
I think some of them are kind of silly, but they all have their reasons that you're going to be able to put it on a TV network and have commercials so you can make more money. And that's what it's all about. Anything in the world now, it's just three words: follow the money. That's what it's all about. Anything in the world now is follow the money, because that's what it's all about. Now, the awards I grew up with, now you got to remember, when I was a kid, and the Cy Young Award was only one award. You didn't have one for each league.
Right.
And so, you just only had one.
But now they have the Cy Young, and then they have the Rivera Hoffman.
You have the reliever of the year and all that stuff. When I was a kid, you didn't have closers and stuff like that. You had relief pitchers, but a lot of the games were complete games, so you didn't have closers. And then, like people like Riley Fingers and that, when they came along as closers, they pitched 2 and 3 innings.
Right.
They didn't just have one inning.
Well, I remember when it was the Rolaids Relief Reward.
Right.
The Rolaids Relief Award. Was the Gold Glove around when you were?
Yes.
Okay, I thought that's been around a while.
Yeah, that's been around for quite a while. I mean, next they'll have the Milk of Magnesia Feel Better Award. I get.
Yeah, I when I started looking at the awards, I go, we'll talk about awards today. I was like, oh my goodness, I knew there was a few, but I was like, my goodness, like it's dumb, and a lot of them are not sponsored by. I'm sure, like you said, they can do the presentation, because before you just had to read it in newspapers.
Well, did you see this week where Nelson Cruz retired?
No, I didn't. But
yeah, Nelson Cruz retired, and so did Ian Kennedy. 17 years.
Yeah.
And right now, Martin Maldonado is not on the roster at Houston. They said their starting catcher next year is going to be Yanier Diaz.
Well, they're high. They got high hopes, and they got to put their money somewhere else. I mean, they got some.
Well, one of the problems they said
is arbitration.
Why Dusty wanted to get out of there, why Dusty retired, other than age, was that there was he was at odds with the front office. They did not want him to play Maldonado in the playoffs because he can't hit.
Right.
He was an automatic out in the ninth position, and they didn't want him to. The number crunchers didn't want him in there. They wanted Diaz in there because Diaz is a better hitter. They could sacrifice the defense to hit.
Yeah, but people that don't know, most of these teams now have an analytical team.
Right.
With a bunch of number crunchers that might not even know the game of baseball.
No, they go up and get some candidates out of Harvard and Yale, 25 years old, bring them down there. They crunch the numbers, and they send an email to the manager and said, here's your lineup for tonight.
Yeah, they get a degree in statistics, and they, and then you have a head and a guy, like you said, they probably never laced them up, since 9 years old, 10 years old. They don't know really how the game is played. The eye appeal of the game, judgment of the eye is still there. You have to be able to, I can still to this day go out and watch a baseball game and can sit there and go, that kid has potential.
Right.
This kid is about done, or he's never going to get it. Whatever.
Well, when
you can tell a ball player almost when he walks on the field.
Well, when you live in this area, and we went to a lot of ball games together, and we went to see the Flying Squirrels in Richmond, the Double-A franchise for the San Francisco Giants. We were going when the Giants were winning the World Series.
Right.
They had great teams, and we went. I remember one night we went there, and they brought this young kid out there playing first base, left-handed batter, and we watched him play, and we both said, this kid can hit. And that was Brandon Belt.
That's
Plus,
right.
he was a good first baseman. And now he's no Hall of Famer, but he's had a really good career.
Right.
Now he's with Toronto, but I mean, he can still stroke the ball. So, I mean, you can look at a player and tell whether he's going to make it or not. I've always a lot of numbers are great. It's fine. That's the way you want to go. They've proven that they work, but there's certain things numbers can't show you. They can't. That's why I guess they have that hustle award. That's the opposite of the numbers. The numbers don't tell you who's hustling and who's not.
Right. And numbers don't tell you potential, like the potential to adjust, to potential to on the fly of a player. You got to do that by eye test.
Well, it's like the guy that hits a long blast from home plate and he sits there and he flips the bat and he's standing there trotting down to first base, admiring his home run, and it hits the wall.
Right.
And he doesn't even get to second. He can't hit a single. Oh, my word.
Right. Yeah. Or, I just.
That's another thing we ought to
when a
talk
scout
about
goes to a cat and a young and goes to a college game and sees that kid gets blacklisted, if he does it in the pros, it's not okay, but you know what I'm saying? The guy still gets to play.
Well, he's making a few $1 million. You can't.
Yeah.
You can only bench so many millionaires.
Yeah, it is ridiculous to me. Well, Dan, I think this is a good spot to end it this week. We exhausted the awards. We talked about the World Series. And next week, we'll start jumping into maybe, some moves. And we'll talk a little bit about our teams, what we wish our teams will do. Let's do that.
All right.
Nationals, Mets, what do we think they should do? Let's play GM next week. So until then, like, share, tell a friend, leave a comment, about, anything you want us to talk about, your ideas on the awards, who should win what, how far we are off. And then until next time, see ya.